This is your Ag Market News Weekly Summary. Cattle this week in Pennsylvania had 3,168 compared to 4,107 last week and 3,857 a year ago. Compared to last week, slaughter steers were mostly steady to firm. Holsteins were steady to firm. Heifers were also steady to firm. Cows were $2 to $3 lower. Bulls were mostly $1 to $3 lower. Steers high choice and prime are 125 and a quarter to 126. Choice are 119 to 123.75. Selects are 112 to 117.50. Holstein steers high choice and prime are 108 to 110. Choice running 102 to 105.75, and selects were 93 to 98.50. Heifers high choice and prime are 121.25 to 125 and a quarter. Choice are 113.75 to 118. Selects were running 97 to 105. Cows breakers were 77.25 to 81.50. Boners were 74.50 to 78.25. And lean cows were 69.50 to 74 and a quarter. Average dressing bulls were 91.75 to 94.25. Feeder cattle, there was light runs this week on the feeder cattle, so we really don't have any kind of changes or trends on that available. Calves this week, there was 2,843 compared to 2,802 last week and 3,415 a year ago. Compared to last week, bull calves were mostly steady, and heifers were about $3 to $4 higher. Holstein bull calves 95 to 120 pounds, number ones are 128 to 141. Lighter calves 80 to 90 pounders were 105 to 119. Number twos 95 to 120 pounds were 116 to 131, and number threes were running 70 to 95. Holstein heifers number ones were 92.50 to 111, and number twos were 54 to 80. Hogs this week, there was 1,454 compared to 1,215 last week and 1,601 a year ago. Compared to last week, barrels and gilts were mostly steady, and lighter pigs were $4 to $5 higher. Sows are $2 to $3 lower. Barrels and gilts 49 to 54% lean were 71 to 73. 45 to 49% lean were 66.50 to 70. 3 to 500 pound sows are 52 to 55. 55 to 700 pounders are 57 to 61. Sheep and lambs, there was 2,872 compared to 2,907 last week and 3,278 a year ago. Compared to last week, lambs were mostly steady to $10 lower. Ewes were steady. Choice lambs, 40 to 60 pounders are 128 to 150. 60 to 80 pounders are 116 to 135, and 80 to 110 pounds are 116 to 142. Good ewes, 100 to 110 pounds were 54 to 66. 160 to 190 pounders were running 54 to 68. Utilities were 110 to 120 pounders were 47 to 49. Lambs and goats this week, there was 2,673 compared to 1,922 last week and 2,989 a year ago. And compared to last week, kids were mostly $10 to $20 lower, and nannies were mostly steady. Selection 1 kids, 40 to 60 pounders were 117 to 150, 60 to 80 pounders were 120 to 162, 80 to 110 pounds were 135 to $178. Selection 2's 40 to 60 pounders were 96 to $116, 60 to 80 was 96 to $117. Selection 3's 40 to 60 pounders were 47 to $84, and 60 to 80 pounders were 74 to $92. Nanny Selection 1's 100 to 125 pounders were 150 to $195. 130 to 150 pounders were 120 to $187. Selection 2's 80 to 130 pounders were 100 to $145. And 130 to 160 pounders were 108 to $130. Selection 3's 60 to 80 pounders were 50 to $94. Billy Selection 1's 100 to 150 pounders were 187 to $225. Selection 2's in the same weight were 162 to $195. Selection 1 Weathers 100 to 150 pounders were 282 to $295. Selection 2's were 172 to $217. This is Dave Wirt for Ag Market News. Have a good week.